So as we enter week 7 here tomorrow when it all takes place, this is 5 tight ends I don't want nothing to do with after this week. And the first guy is Mike Yaseki. Yaseki's had a pretty decent fantasy year, but last week no points. And now with the change at quarterback, I don't think Tua is going to do much for this Dolphin offense. And Yaseki, if you could trade him now, he's on the bye week as well. I would try to get rid of him. I got rid of him a few weeks ago in another league, and I didn't even see Tua coming in yet, especially with the Dolphins rolling. So Yaseki's a big target. People had high hopes for him, but he's still very inconsistent. He had no points last week, and a couple games where he only had 4 or 5 points, and then he would have a blow-up 14, 15-point game. But now with Tua under the helm, that's one guy I'm trading or even maybe cutting is Mike Yaseki. The second guy is Gronkowski. Now a lot of owners picking him up and adding him and putting him in the lineup this week after he didn't do nothing for the first 4 or 5 weeks. Last week he had a coming out party. Looked like the Gronk of old, 6 catches, 78 yards and a touchdown with a nice corner route in the back of the end zone, Brady hitting him. But now with Antonio Brown getting fused into this offense, I know in a week or two, well 2 or 3 weeks actually, everyone's target's going to go down. Chris Godwin, we saw him come back last week. Now another week he's back in the offense. So a lot of mouths to feed there. Then Fournette, he's coming back tomorrow it looks like. So Gronkowski, if you could sell him high off that one big game and name recognition, this is the week to do it, I think. I could still see him have a good game versus the Raiders this week. And then after that, definitely try to sell him off. The third tight end that I'm definitely trying to get rid of is Ebron. That Steeler offense is stacked, especially with the emergence of Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson is back this week. We saw Ebron a couple weeks ago struggle with 2 fumbles in a game and a couple drop passes, and he's just not getting the targets or the red zone looks now. They got too many guys over there as well. You got James Conner, who's having a great season. He's getting most of the work within the goal line, where they don't even have the bother to pass, or it's Claypool in those red zone targets. So Ebron, I would just drop him or trade him if you could get anything for him. But you're most likely going to drop him after this week if he has another lackluster performance at tight end. The fourth guy I'm going to steer away from at tight end is Robert Tanyan. He had a monster game a few weeks ago versus the Falcons with 3 touchdowns. But the Packers offense was definitely out of it. With no Devontae Adams, someone had to get the target work, and Lazard out too. So it was Tanyan. But we saw last week Tanyan tweak that ankle. He didn't do much. And this week he's questionable to play. I think he will play. Even if he does, I don't see him doing much. I could see the Packers running it heavy if Aaron Jones plays or not versus the Houston Texans this week. And Tanyan, I think he's just a couple week guy. So if you could sell him off that 3 touchdown game, this is the week to do it. Because if he has another bad game this week or he gets hurt again, there goes your window of selling Tanyan high after he came off a huge ball game. So he's the 4th tight end. I'll definitely try to get rid of. The 5th guy I'm getting rid of is Tywin Higbee, who had 3 touchdowns versus Philly in week 2, and since then he hasn't done much. Last week was his best game since week 2 with 3 catches for 56 yards. So Higbee, he's banged up a little. He's got the hand injury. He's got the Bears this week. I just don't see him doing much. He's just probably droppable at this point, in my opinion. This week I started Richard Rodgers over him, and I can't see Higbee outperforming Rodgers this week. Rodgers with 14.5 points in fantasy, so Higbee definitely staying away from him. And I'm probably going to drop him if he does nothing again this week. Somehow he's still 80% owned. Owners are still going off what he did last year in the last 5 or 6 games where he was the number 1 or 2 tight end overall. But I'm staying away now from Tywin Higbee, and I'm going to either drop him or try to trade him at this point because there's better options out there. Fells, Richard Rodgers, like I said, Trey Burton comes off the bye, so that's 5 tight ends I'm looking to get rid of in week 7 of fantasy football.